Hello, and thank you for watching this video. Another one of the series of about helping victims of emotional abuse. I'm getting quite a few requests about the detail of emotional abuse, so I thought I'd share this email that I put out recently sent to a client recently, just to help in terms of what abuse is. Abuse is any behaviour that is designed to control and subjugate another through the use of fear, humiliation, and verbal or physical assault. Emotional abuse can be any form of abuse that is emotional rather than physical in nature. It can include anything from verbal abuse, constant criticism, to more subtle tactics such as intimidation, manipulation, and the refusal ever to be pleased. Emotional abuse is like brainwashing. Some American psychologists refer it to as head, rude word, messing, rhymes with ducking, and it systematically wears away this victim's self-confidence or self-worth or trust in their own perspective and self-concept. Whether this is done by constant berating and belittling, or by intimidation, or under the guise of guidance or teaching or advice, the results are similar. Eventually the victim of abuse loses all sense of self and remnants of personal value. Emotional abuse cuts to the very core of a person, creating scars that may be far deeper and longer lasting than physical ones. So there's some types, classic types. You've probably heard it before, but if you haven't, hopefully this is useful. In terms of the different types of abuse. First one, minimizing. Minimizing is a form of denial. When minimizing, the abuser may not deny that a particular event occurred, but questions the victim's emotional perception or reaction to an event. Statements such as "you're too sensitive," "you're exaggerating," or "you're blowing this out of proportion" suggest that the victim is not to be trusted. Trivializing, when the abuser suggests what you have done or said is inconsequential or unimportant, is a more subtle and similar sign or form of minimizing. Withholding is another form of denying, which includes refusing to listen, refusing to communicate, and emotionally withdrawing as punishment to the victim. This can be the silent treatment, or the never-ending trial of "we'll talk about that later," or "when I'm ready," and that time never seems to come. The abuser takes control over the situation so that whenever the victim tries to bring up a subject, the abuser will take control back in this way. Withholding finances is obviously a very direct way of taking control. Aggression. Aggressive forms of abuse include name-calling, accusing, blaming, threatening, and ordering. Aggression is generally direct and obvious. The abuser assumes by attempting to judge or invalidate the recipient, undermines the equality and autonomy that is essential in any healthy adult relationship. So it's not balanced. This parent-child pattern of communication, which is common to all forms of verbal abuse, is most obvious when the abuser takes an aggressive stance. So it's evident when they're shouting and name-calling, dominating in that way. Crazy making. This is when the abuser will set out to exhaust and confuse the victim by distorting or undermining the victim's perceptions. The abuser might simply refuse or fail to acknowledge reality, leading the victim to question their own sanity. For example, if the victim confronts the abuser about an outburst, the abuser might insist that "I never said that, I don't know what you're talking about." Just set a completely different path, and you'll be left floundering, going, "How can this be?" Crazy making. Another form of crazy making is simply to change the subject and flow of a conversation, perhaps mix in different forms of abuse too, leaving the victim reeling as they try to make sense of and follow a logical flow to the conversation or argument, getting drawn into justifying yourself. This might lead a victim to justify themselves or their belief or their position and their intended meaning, and it will exhaust them. yet satisfy and energize the abuser. So the abuser gets something out of all of this. You know, the control, the crazy making, the effect it'll have on a victim. Last one is dominating. Dominating is another form of control that can even be disguised as helping. Approaches such as criticizing, advising, offering solutions, analyzing, proving and questioning can be sincere attempts to help others, yet in the case of abuse, these behaviours might also be an attempt to belittle, control and demean the underlying judgment the abuser takes in these situations of "I know best" is unfair and creates an unequal relationship. And something this client particularly wanted was basic human rights. Right in a relationship. So check this, a checklist for yourself. How are we doing on time? Okay, quickly. The right for goodwill from the other, the right to emotional support, the right to be heard by the other and to respond with courtesy, the right to have your own view, even if your partner has a different view, the right to have your feelings and experience acknowledged as real, the right to receive a sincere apology for jokes you may find offensive, the right to clear and informative answers to questions that concern what is legitimately your business, the right to live free from accusation and blame, the right to live free from criticism and judgment, the right to have your work and interests spoken with respect, the right to encouragement, the right to live free from emotional and physical threat, from angry outbursts and rage, the right to be called by no name that devalues you, the right to be respected, respectfully asked rather than ordered. How's that as a checklist? A checklist. Okay, that's long enough. Thank you very much for watching. As ever, do look at the other views. Do give your views. Do look at the other videos. Like them. Raise the awareness. Thank you very much. Speak to you soon. Okay, bye bye.